How do you maintain confidence? It's elusive and it's tough to hold on to. Can the Rangers do it? We'll find out. At least talk about it next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And really, as we mentioned yesterday, a little bit of momentum even in that horrific Tampa series. Hi there. Welcome into the ALLCITY Sports Studios. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. John Radigan, Jeff Wilson. Queen is here today, but she's overdoing some other duties. So we've got Ryan Vaughters in here. For me, it's a reunion. Ryan and I, as I told Jeff, we were Pelican Kings.
Top of the charts.
Pelican Kings. You heard of the Tiger Kings? Tiger King, whatever that dude was.
Yeah, I don't.
We had pelicans in this. No, we had a whole farm of pelicans.
That takes your relationship to a whole nother level when you're throwing the Tiger King.
No, we did the New Orleans Pelicans games together. Ryan was the full-time producer. I filled in a fair amount on Pelicans games. So anyway, we go back to our Fox and Bally days, and it's great to have Ryan over here helping us out now, a very talented guy. So anyway, that's who's here today. Feel free to say hello to him, chat with us, talk about what we're about to talk to, which is a lot of things that speak to the mindset, Jeff, of a team that needs positivity, if nothing else right now, right? It's just, we've talked about it when I have my long conversation. The other, I guess it was last homestand, so it wasn't the other day, but when I sat, had a chat with Brett Boone, he talked about how right now they can all do it. It's all up here, which is to say confidence being maybe foremost among those things.
Yeah.
Up here.
Well, I think, these guys are the best of the best.
Right.
They're at the highest level of baseball in the world. They've been successful at every level, and they've even been successful in the major leagues. And so for them to go completely kaput altogether suggests, either a collective abandonment of everything they've ever done mechanically, or that they're getting frustrated, the hits aren't falling, and when the hits don't fall and your batting average up on the big board starts with a 1 or a 2 and the next number is a 0 or a 1, you're not feeling too good about that. So I wonder if that's not right. A little confidence goes a long way. Hitting, as they say, is contagious. I think confidence is too. If a couple guys start going well, and that appears to be the case here with Simeon and Berger and Carter, at least in this last series, then maybe they will drag people with them.
You sure hope so, and you really hope that obviously the pitching stays confident, stays as it is. You hope, under any circumstances, that the rotation stays as it is, and that's big picture too. And Jeff, some news today, or a statement, a comment from CY, I can think kind of at least assures us that at least the people will be the same.
Yeah, he said yesterday on his radio show on 105.3 The Fan, they're not trading Jacob deGrom and they're not trading Nathan Eovaldi. Those guys were signed to be fixtures in the rotation for many, many years, and they make a lot of money, and the Rangers could probably get some good stuff for them. But the Rangers feel like their management and ownership feels like they're in the window where they're going to be good for a lot of years, and that they have the pieces in place they want in place. Also signaling that they're not going to make those trades is kind of a vote of confidence for the rest of the team.
Right.
Like, hey, we're not doing anything. We believe in you guys. Get out there and do it. So maybe that's another confidence boost. Nothing makes a team feel better in July than adding players, telling the team, hey, we believe in you guys. Even last year when it was Carson Kelly and Andrew Chafin,
Yeah.
not exactly huge difference makers. That still made the team feel good. They were like, hey, these guys believe in us. Now it's up to us. Didn't happen. But so there is a psychological component to this. What did Yogi Berra say? 90% of the game is
half mental.
Is physical or mental, and the other
90% of the
half
game
is
is
physical.
half mental.
Whatever he said. That's kind of where they're at. And Chris Young knows that. Chris Young was a player for 13 years in the major leagues, won a World Series. Okay, he knows what it takes. He's seen the ups, he's seen the downs, and he isn't wavering. And he also looks at the standings, and nobody's running away with this thing. And so if all the Rangers have to do is get hot, have a good 2-week, 3-week stretch, they're right back in this thing. And it's certainly possible. And the Washington series, you hope, is what kind of springboards them, because there were good things that happened in there.
Yeah, I just double-checked it. That's the Yogi quote. 90% of the game is half mental, but the answer in Google says it highlights the significant mental aspects of the sport, where even though the physical ability is important, the mental fortitude, strategy plays such a huge part in performance and winning. And that's not breaking news. We've known that really forever from, going all the way back to kids playing.
Yeah.
Confidence can be huge. And this team offensively hasn't shown a lot of confidence. We're going to get into more of that and talk about what Marcus Semien called the hardest job in sports or in baseball. Later, and that is being a hitting coach. We'll get to that. We'll talk Minnesota series and the big cleanup segment, in which we'll talk about some of the things that you brought up, Rarities, about Leody Taveras and Kimbrel both being released. So we'll talk about those things in the cleanup segment. In the meantime, we continue to talk about really what CY said, and truly, Jeff, the mental aspect, or the mental solve of that, in that even if this team, right, doesn't add anybody, which I think, is certainly a possibility, as is trading somebody, depending on what happens in the next 6 weeks. But even if they don't add, I think if management says, by not trading anybody, if they just stay the course, to this group, which knows how talented it is, I think that sends almost, maybe not quite as strong a message as Cliff Lee did in 2010, when Ian Kinsler did cartwheels down the hall and said, we're going to win the World Series. But it still sends that positive message.
It does. And you can't say that the Rangers coaches and front office haven't been behind these guys. Yes, they've sent some guys down. Jake Berger, they were like, hey, this is to get the best out of you for the long haul. Even with Dlls, they're telling Dlls, we're going to sit you down. You're going to make some swing changes because this is what's best for you. We believe in you. We see how healthy you are. Go out and get better and be as good as we believe you can be. So there's confidence across the board. They stayed with Marcus Semien at a time when a lot of guys that have been on the bench. A lot of that is because of who Marcus is and what he means to the team. Probably his salary too, but and now it looks like he's come around. So now they need to give a little love to Wyatt Langford, put their arms around Wyatt, get him going. They're not worried about Corey Seager even remotely, even though he's in a career-long slump. It's all there. They still believe it. They say it every day to us. Bruce Bochy every day says this team is going to hit. This team is going to do it, and that's in the face of arguably 8 months of evidence that says this team is not going to do it. But he believes, and I guess he has no choice but to believe. And maybe what Andrew Dufresne used to say, and Shawshank, hope is a good thing. The best of things. You got to hope. Of course,
Well,
hope isn't a great strategy. You
no,
gotta
it's not
do.
exactly. I was just going to say the same thing, but I will say that when you asked last homestand again, you asked Boch about, hey, have you ever considered that these, the numbers these guys are putting up, basically that these guys are what we're seeing? And he said, no. He said, I gotta believe in them. And he referenced, as we've heard so many times, back of their baseball cards. And certainly Marcus Simeon's, ledger on the back of his baseball card is lengthy. Adolis Garcia's baseball card isn't quite as full of numbers or as of years at the major league level, Jeff. But a guy like Adolis Garcia, I think the jury might still be out.
Yeah,
who is he?
It is, and I do think though, when you look at the career numbers, we're not talking about a 300 hitter. We're not even talking about a 250 hitter. All right, so with Adolis, there's going to be a lot of lows, but the highs they can carry a team. They really can. Does he have that in him still? Is he too far gone in his own head? Is his swing such a train wreck that he can't do it? I would argue that, it would be really nice and a big boost for Adolis Garcia if he were to lay off the pitches that give him the most trouble, even if it's just one at bat that results in a walk. If they go slider, fastball high, and hey, he doesn't swing and he gets a walk, that would do something for him, I think.
Yes.
Just to see the positive results from one at bat. So it's in him. It didn't just suddenly escape him after April of last season.
No,
somewhere in there is a offensive force or a guy with that potential. The Rangers just have to hope they unlock.
They can find the key, right? Yeah, and we see you, Jim Rockford, every day in there telling us, they need to trade Adolis Garcia, and who knows? I mean, that may happen. It depends on what happens in the next 6 weeks. You would like to get something for him rather than just non-tender him at the end of the season, which would be certainly a possibility if he doesn't turn things around. That said, he's not, not going to get you much in return the way he's played right now.
Right. I mean, what are you going to trade him for? That's always the question. What are you going to trade him for? And what are you going to again? So what are you going to get for a guy who's hitting 210?
Yeah.
Hasn't hit a homer in a while, and is making $9.4 million this year. What are you going to get for that guy? There's just not a lot. You're going to have to eat a lot of that salary, and even then, you're not going to get back a premium prospect.
No,
even with that extra year of control next year, I just can't possibly see that happening.
No,
that Rangers getting anything for him. So at that point, you're just dumping him, trying to dump some salary, and maybe that happens if the Rangers feel like we can get by with an outfield of Langford, Carter, Osuna / Haggerty, and if we can save, let's say, $1.5 million, and if that in turn gets them something that could help them, then maybe I could see it happening. But I just don't know that another team is out there like, God, I got to get that Adolis Garcia.
Right. Yeah, and the reality is Osuna, I believe, has a tremendously positive upside. But where he burst onto the scene and reached base in his first 7 or 8 or 9 major league games, he's dipped a little bit here too, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. He's not necessarily ready for this.
Yeah, he's young. He's barely played it at AAA. Right. He had the wonderful spring, slow start at Frisco, took care of that, was doing great at the end of the month. Was moved up in early May and did okay at Round Rock. Did fine. But it does seem as if things have caught up with him a little bit here. He does have good at bats. They may not result in anything positive, but he will see pitches, and so he has the foundation to be okay. Like everybody, you need mistakes. That's what these guys hit. You don't see these guys hitting with regularity a pitcher's pitch
out
of the ballpark or even into the outfield. So I do wonder though if maybe it's time for him to get a reset, go back down, go to AAA where he is going to play every day.
Sure.
And just get comfortable again, work on some things that maybe the Rangers have learned about him through the way he's being pitched by other major leaguers, and then apply it and give him, I don't know, 3 weeks or a month. And then if it's good and if everything else is still stinky, then bring him up.
Yep. And that's the best thing for a minor league player is just more at bats at the minor league level before he gets to the major league level. It was necessary to bring him up when they did, and he showed well, but he could still benefit greatly from more time at the minor league level. So anyway, we've got more coming up as we continue to scurry through this day on the DLLS Rangers podcast. We're going to get to the series in Minnesota and then that hardest job in baseball, trying to get these guys to hit. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And we start today with Game Time and my friend Nicole.
Oh, Nicole.
Oh, Nicole, who sends me the emails to update me on what is coming to the area. And there's always great shows coming to the area. There is also a Rangers homestand coming to the area. And in that Rangers homestand, you could get tickets right there on the Game Time app. If you go to Game Time, they will show you where the seat is going to be. There is a price guarantee. They just don't have the huge extra fees that some of these other ticket apps do. I promise you will love Game Time. I've converted everybody in my family that avails themselves to concerts, and most often, actually, we're a family that likes to go to comedy shows. So they'll go see a comedy show, the Kill Tonys of the world, the Bert Kreischers of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's the shirtless fella. Anyway, they'll go see these, and they'll get their app. Are there tickets from where? Game Time. You should too.
Okay, well, Wendy's is back.
Thank God.
For us with their new treat, their new takes on the classic Frosty, all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors. You can get them either vanilla or chocolate. Same creamy treat that you've always loved. Now with a flavor refresh. John, what do you have today? I got brownie batter. Batter.
I was telling Kat before the show, I'm a sucker. I've got a guilty pleasure on the batters and the doughs. Going way back to when I was a kid, my mom would make, brownies, and we'd get to quote unquote lick the bowl, right? Yeah. Just kind of, man, I love that. And then, but I honestly haven't had any dough, batter, cookie dough, anything since my kids kind of moved. I used to do the same thing with them, right? After we got done making cookies, or the wife did, or whoever did, we would eat the cookie dough or the brownie batter, and this is fine, Jeff.
Yeah, I've got the caramel crunch. It's as good as you said it was. Whatever flavor you're craving, odds are Wendy's has a Frosty for it. Day or night, midnight or later, with Wendy's, at participating Wendy's, hours may vary.
The thing about the batter or the dough, I did it growing up, right? And then when I got married, and I'd do it, even before kids, my wife would go, "Oh my God, you're eating that, and there's raw eggs in there."
Yeah.
I'm like, you know who else ate raw eggs?
Rocky Balboa.
Rocky, damn it.
Yep.
Rocky ate raw eggs, and lots of them. So if I get just a little bit of a raw egg in my brownie batter or my cookie dough, I'm not scared.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. So
why should you be?
You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Thank
Rocky
you.
can do it. Anybody can.
Yeah. I mean, he drank eggs, didn't he? Didn't he put them all into a cup and drink them? Mm-hmm. I couldn't do that. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't do that. But I can eat them out of a cookie dough or a brownie batter. That's for damn sure. So Minnesota series coming up. The Rangers send Tyler Mahle to the mound tonight. It's another interesting subplot. There always are so many. Again, he came to the Rangers from Cincinnati, but he's a former Minnesota Twin too, Jeff.
That's right. Not a lot of time there, and not a lot of healthy time there. They paid for his Tommy John surgery in 2023. It's pretty interesting. I talked to him about that. He's like, because he looked at his numbers, and the numbers are good. He's like, numbers were good, but you could tell the stuff wasn't any good. He said the velocity was off. He was getting maybe not lucky, but You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't right. So
Yep.
I don't know that the Twins ever experienced a healthy Tyler Mahle, and the Rangers are experiencing it now, and it looks fantastic. So um, if he can keep things going, that's good. The Twins still searching for a starter. Or at least I haven't seen one that's been named as of yet. But again, they're going through their own injury woes
Yeah.
on the pitching front. So it would seem that the Rangers, even though the Twins are 19-10 at home, that the Rangers have a little bit of an opening here to maybe take advantage of some starters who aren't as sharp as the guys who are hurt, Pablo Lopez and Zebby Matthews, and then get into the bullpen. Not the high leverage guys, because the high leverage guys are
They're
dynamite.
good. Yeah.
So go ahead and strike early, give these pitchers a lead, and then make the Twins work a little bit.
Yeah, knowing that you generally have, literally against almost any rotation, knowing that you go out there with that advantage, right? Really just functionally, you have a better pitcher, right? Almost every night than the opponent does. So, transfer that over to scoring early, but also in the case of this road series, Jeff, to win that first game. I mean, again, the mindset has to be to take them all one at a time at this point, but win that first game, and now you got 2 shots at winning the series.
Yeah, and Blake is saying Simeon Woods Richardson might be the starter for the Twins, and that would add up. So if he does start, he opened the season with the Twins on I think made his first opening day roster. They sent him down. He's been in AAA. Yeah, the AP is writing that he has been recalled to start the opener of a 3-game series.
Yeah.
And he wasn't bad. The numbers, 5.02 ERA doesn't look very good, but early in the season, those numbers can get skewed pretty badly. Their AAA team's just in St. Paul now, so it's like,
oh wow, it's like Frisco to here.
He could Uber,
over
exactly.
And,
so,
and now, but 5.02 is not his minor league ERA.
No, that was his major league
ERA.
Anyway, I thought you were pointing at my Frosty.
I do like the caramel now. We could trade. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, so there you go. There's your question. But again, not a guy who is necessarily Pablo Lopez or Jack Morris or Brad Radke. Great Twins pitcher. Bert Blyleven. All right. So we're not looking at. There's an opportunity, I guess, is what I'm saying. Simeon Wood Richardson from Sugarland. I did not know that.
I didn't know he was from Sugarland.
But he has pitched well at home this year in his 3 starts. But anyway, there's a chance here.
Yeah, there is. And look, Tyler Mahle's just been, he's got the ERA he's got for a reason, and that's after, I don't even want to call it a bad start, just a so-so start, I guess, by the lofty standards that he has set for himself and the rest of the rotation has early this season.
Well, he didn't get any help from the bullpen.
That's a great point.
3 of the 4 runs that he allowed were inherited runners.
Yeah.
That, Jake Latz led in. Kind of a messy inning. That series was marked by messy innings, one each game. So yeah, I think he's fine, and so he's had the rest. He's ready to go. They push him back instead of starting him Sunday, so he should be fresh and ready to go.
Yeah, I think it was Saturday in Washington, and there were a couple of hot shots hit over toward the Rangers dugout, foul balls, and Boch handled both of them with aplomb, beautifully. One of them literally coming right at him, and he just caught it, right, like a good catcher would. He's got big hands. It ain't a catcher's mitt, but, he got it around that baseball. So, hoping his defense continues, we're hoping to show you a part of the interview that he did with Matt Hicks the next day, because Boch, in his typical funny way, Boch says, well, I can't get out of the way of them, so I got to catch them. You've all seen Boch walk. I mean, again, he was a catcher his whole career. The wheels are kind of gone. He's had knee surgeries and I don't know what all, but by God, he can still. And he said that second one, he said it was coming in hot.
Look,
it was going to hit him in the face if it didn't get caught.
It's a guy who caught Nolan Ryan and J.R. Richards.
That's right.
I think he can handle a foul ball.
Foul ball. Yeah. So, but we'll hope. And he said the guys were giving him a bunch of grief about that, of course, and good for them and good for him because it ain't bragging if you can do it. And that's exactly what Boch did. So, and it's also one of those things like, all right, guys, I'm playing good defense, so make sure you guys do too. And actually, that has not been a problem overall. You mentioned those innings.
Yeah.
There have been those innings, but thank goodness we haven't had to have the discussion very often. It's just been one thing all year, which we're going to talk about next, and that's the hitting. But it's really that's been the thing. Generally hasn't been sloppy play. Generally haven't been, other than that Tampa series, too many mental mistakes. And there's generally been great pitching. So it all boiled down to that one thing. And so they try to keep that going tonight, and then they try to keep the pitching going. They send Jack Leiter tomorrow, right?
Correct.
And the way he's been going, if he keeps going like this, Jeff, he's going to get himself into, if he's not already, the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Well, he should be, and the starter doesn't get to play as much as some of these guys. Like I would assume that Jacob Wilson from the A's is the I think he's the odds-on right now
front
runner. Yeah. I don't think he was out of eligibility last year. I ran out of eligibility. Maybe he did. I don't know. But he's what a player he is. So that's looking good. But yeah, I mean, Jack's been that good.
Yeah,
he really has been. And again, this is a guy. You take advantage of opportunities, and every year there are guys who do that. Last year it was Josh Smith. When Josh Young was hurt, Josh Smith stepped in and was great and had an argument to be an all-star. If you looked at the numbers of third baseman, you could say you could even say he got robbed if you wanted. But take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you. Osuna had the given the chance in spring training and played his little tail off, and look at what it's parlayed. He's parlayed it into. He was an early call up to this team because the coaches loved the way he played. So for Leiter, I can't imagine that they would take him out of the rotation. I just cannot. Even when Bradford and Gray are healthy, if they're stretch out of starters, I just don't see Jack Leiter getting removed from the rotation.
No.
So that's how good he's been. And then of course the finale, the day game Thursday, our guy Patrick Corbin.
Yeah.
We're now I was never critical of him.
Yes, you were.
Oh, was I?
Yeah.
I don't remember
yes,
that.
You were.
He's
everything
good.
we thought he'd be.
That's right.
Well, it was hard to predict this given his last 5 years, and it would have been impossible to predict that he would go back to Washington as he did in his last start and throw an 89-pitch complete game. Are you kidding me? This is the guy that led Major League Baseball, but for sure led the National League in innings pitched. That was great for the last 5 years. In starts, that was great for the last 5 years. But he also had the highest ERA in the last 5 years of any pitcher in the game. So the takeaways from that are he's a warhorse, man. He gets out there and he's strong and his arm is great. Got a rubber arm and all that. But he wasn't very good. And he's been great.
Yeah, and he's talked about the change of scenery and
sure.
Going to a team that expects to win, and I'm sure it's hard for a veteran guy, especially one who's won a World Series with the team he's currently with that has gone straight in the toilet. Some of it by intentionally, trading away star players, not re-signing star players, going with young guys and having to wear their ups and downs. I'm sure that it was a beatdown, and the ERA. I haven't seen the metrics, like FIP and things like that. But how many plays weren't made that should have been made by these young guys? Now I'm not saying that if he had had a great defense behind him, his 5.6 ERA would have been 2.1.
Right. Right.
but it,
Might have been 5.
the numbers probably could have been better. But he made the changes last year with his pitch mix. The Rangers liked it, and then honestly, you get Mike Maddox around a guy.
That's right,
and it's going to help too. So, fresh start.
And
fresh.
Am I remembering? He's only getting $1 million. I say only $1 million a year.
Yeah.
What a bargain.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for him. It's fun to be wrong sometimes, and I think all of us were about what to expect from Patrick Corbin. So was everybody in Major League Baseball. The guy didn't sign in the last week of spring training. So anyway, that's the story for the series. It's going to be a fun one, and we'll be talking about it each and every day, including a post-game show after that Patrick Corbin start on Thursday. Next up, though, we got to get to that offense. We see the numbers in the chat. Yeah, Corey Seager has the lowest WAR in baseball. We'll talk about that.
In the AL West.
AL West, I should say.
Starting
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Marcus Semion's resurgence and more as we get to the hardest job in baseball, the hitting coach, next on the DLLS Rangers podcast.
I'll tell you what's an easy job. Getting your floors from Empire Today.
Oh, you're dang
Piece
right.
of cake. They give you the home field advantage. They want your house to look awesome. And they don't want you to leave your house to get these new floors. They have an app. You can shoot the room, see what floors you like the best. But if you schedule a free in-home estimate, they'll come to your house. The floor, I don't know what they call them. How about specialist? The floor specialist.
Oh, I like that.
Will help you mix and match and find what's right for each and every room in any space you want to get refurbished with some fresh carpet or flooring or maybe even some tile. Empire Today is going to do it for you. And if you go to empiretoday.com/DLLS, you'll get $350 off your new floors. But the first thing you have to do is schedule a free in-home estimate, and then empiretoday.com/DLLS for $350 off new floors.
I'll tell you this, too. If Empire Today needs another flooring specialist, they'd be wise to go to LinkedIn Jobs, because any sort of person you want to hire out there is on LinkedIn Jobs. This thing is such a vast network. LinkedIn's been around for I'd say decades now, probably decades, and you can find what you need as far as hiring goes if you go to LinkedIn Jobs. We have not availed ourselves to it with our small business yet, but we feel like we're about to because we think we're going to lose one of our best employees, no fault of ours. But anyway, she's moving. But anyway, I encourage you to do the same, and I promise you if I do this, I'm going to do exactly what you should do, and that is go to LinkedIn.com and then use the code Rangers, and I'd get that first post, that first job post for free at LinkedIn.com. Okay, so I see a quote from Marcus Semien after the Sunday game, and he had another good game, of course, on Sunday, and he says, he feels for the hitting coaches, and he's talking specifically in the answer about Justin Veely, and he said hitting coach is the hardest job in baseball, and it's such an interesting thing to think about because I hadn't before, but I kind of agree, and Brett Boone said the same thing to me the other day the last homestand when he said, he goes, if we lose, I'm playing for Seattle and we lose, but, I had a double and a home run, I go to sleep. I don't like losing. None of them do, but I can sleep fine, right?
Yeah.
He said, not when I'm a hitting coach. He goes, if everybody's not hitting, if everybody's not doing exactly what we need them to do, I feel for them. And if we lose, he said, man, it's like I had an offer. Like I can't sleep. I feel terrible. And I hate to think how much sleep he hasn't gotten lately, to be honest with you, because there hasn't been a lot of offensive success. But it really is. I mean, it's trying to, in some cases, and this year thus far is a classic example of trying to get blood out of a turnip, Jeff.
Yeah, he may want to go back to podcasting.
Right?
You know, I mean, that's a lot easier.
We sleep well at night. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Look, the Rangers got one hitting coach fired already this year.
Right.
You know,
and by the way, all the numbers are worse.
Yeah, you can definitely say this was not Donnie Ecker's fault.
Yeah.
And you know, the new voice, and maybe the Brett Boone voice is starting to resonate. Maybe Justin Veely and Seth Connor, who stayed on after Ecker was fired, perhaps they've uncovered some things on the swing side, the mechanical side for some of these guys. But as we talked about, a lot of it is mental, and Brett Boone understands that as well as anybody. And so, but it is a hard job, and it's hard because the pitching's so good. All these designer pitches and all sorts of things that pitchers can do to the baseball now and make it do crazy stuff that, it's just really hard to hit. It's always been hard to hit. It's hard to hit home runs. That's the hardest thing to do in sports, I've heard people say. Moving a guy to second, from second to third, apparently is very hard. At least
it looks like it.
Team.
Yeah,
you still got to do the basic stuff that the game asks you to do. And I tell you, something like that, a productive out, those are confidence builders. Sacrifice flies, confidence builders. And there's guys who just could flat do it. But I'll just say it is a hard job. Pitchers would then kind of say, well, the hitters have a lot of advantages too, and they do. But just in the information era, it just seems like pitching is winning out. This is 2 straight years across baseball where offense has been down
big time,
and so it seems like the pitching side has the advantage. And then you look at the way some of these teams are built, like the Rays. All right, 5 innings from their starter, then they come out and just throw nasty relievers at you. That's the way playoff games are played these days. And the Dodgers won a damn World Series pretty much doing that.
Yeah.
So it's different. Anyway, these fresh arms come in. You don't get to see a guy a third time if you're a hitter. You're seeing these guys just throwing 100 and nasty off-speed stuff. So it's hard. It's really, really hard. But then, yes, when the team's not hitting, you got to play psychologist. You got to do all these things. So, yeah, hitting coach, tough.
Very tough job. One of the other things Marcus said was, of course, I'll be so glad when every time you come and talk to me, media in general, we weren't there, but every time you come talk to me, you say, wow, you were doing really bad and now you're doing good. I'll be glad when it's just, hey, good game.
Yeah.
Which of course, I mean, and believe me, we'll be glad if and when that happens, that we can just go up to these guys and talk about nuance maybe, but not necessarily talk about that same thing over and over again, which has plagued this team, like you said, Jeff, not only for the first half almost of this season, but last season too.
Right. And he does not like talking. Nobody likes it. I mean, you don't see people holding up their hands to talk about how crappy they've been.
No.
And he's a professional, and he knows us and knows that we have a job to do.
Sure.
And gives us the answers, but being the one guy that they always go to, a Dlls who had also struggled and is struggling, is hard to track down, and then sometimes he needs a translator. So he's hard to find. It's hard to find the struggling guys. So it seems to always fall on Marcus, because he will not just hide at his locker in the back. He's at his locker, and he's a professional. But he also, last year and even this year, I remember him saying distinctly, I don't want to talk about the negatives. I want to focus on what's going right. But when nothing's going right, at some point you got to have that talk. And so before the Cardinals series, after that miserable game against the Blue Jays when the Rangers were essentially no hit, he talked. And ever since then, he's taken off. So I feel like I get a piece of the credit for this turnaround.
Yeah, and I do. I think you deserve a lot of credit.
Thank
and
you.
Maybe maybe a bonus, frankly.
I would take some of his. Yeah.
Yeah, some of that. I wonder though, because one of the things that Boach has been saying, and he's said it, to us, and I think I saw it written recently, just about how well he's doing, Marcus, on the pull side, right? Which is his side. I mean,
Yeah.
that's his thing. That's what he's always done. And I do wonder, as we get so analytical, right? We get so thoughtful about things like, gosh, there's a whole big part of the field over here you could use. And, we try to maximize, like, let a guy be a guy, right? If he's had this tremendous success, and he's probably not going to share it because it may make the team or the coaches look bad. But maybe part of the thing that was in his head is, oh yeah, that's right, I got to make sure I try to do these things too, right? Rather than just going out there and doing what he does, which is pull the damn ball.
Yeah, and now he's been, if the opposing pitcher is on, they're not going to throw Marcus Semien a pitch he can pull easily.
Right.
They're throwing him sliders away and off the plate. You saw in that National Series, he chased one for a strikeout and was mad with himself. He's been doing a better job on that, but he does not have power to right field.
No.
And he may get some hits to right field.
He does, and that's the thing. He'll shorten up and
they're
going to
be singles. They're not going to be home runs.
No.
When he's driving the ball, it's always to left field, and that's fine. That's who he is. The problem is everybody knows that, so he has to be able to adjust to the adjustments being made to him. It seems like he finally has found that whatever the magic formula is, the contact point, hitting the ball in the barrel, whatever it is that has been missing for the last 9 games since May 30th. He has the best batting average in baseball.
Wow. Okay.
And I believe he has the highest OPS as well in baseball.
Yeah, that's great.
Since May 30th, so we're coming up on 2 weeks with that. When he's good, the Rangers offense is going to be better. When he's on base or when he's driving in guys who are on base, it's just going to be better because that's the guy they signed, and that's the guy who was so good in 23 and was the third place finisher in the AL MVP vote. That's how good he can be.
Speaking of which, the guy who was second place that year is Corey Seager.
Yes.
And we know how good he can be. I feel like, and I think Blake wrote this and others as well, we feel like not only do we know how good he can be, it just feels like we know how good he will be, right? Whereas I must admit, I was starting to doubt maybe Father Time had caught up with Marcus, right? Or something.
Yeah, sure.
Because we saw all of last year and then the beginning of this year, and I thought, geez, maybe Marcus isn't good, and he has, so good for him. I just don't feel that way with Corey Seager. I feel like, and part of it is he's younger, certainly.
Yeah.
But it's just the way he approaches it, the way we watch him get ready every single day. I think and believe this dude's going to hit, Jeff.
I completely agree. I think everybody agrees. And, he had the day off Sunday, off day yesterday for the club. So he's going to be fresh. It's just, from my perspective, it's a timing thing. He is seeing the ball well because he's been drawing walks. He understands what the pitchers are doing to him, trying to do to him. He understands the game situations. I mean, he's still Corey Seager, by God.
That's right.
And teams are still going to try to pitch delicately to him in certain situations, like if a base is open. So he gets that, and he took some walks in the last series. He's laying off pitchers' pitches, not chasing. He's just not getting the barrel to the ball. He's rolling over a lot. So I think that Corey Seager's an at bat away from just going on a tear.
Isn't that great?
And this ballpark target field, left field out there with the flower bed, and then the little plaza area. I've seen a lot of home runs hit by left-handers into those areas, including Corey Seager. So I think that it could happen. It could happen first inning today.
Yes, and that's so true. And what we've seen is the offense just look better overall because of Marcus, right? And so if you add Corey into that mix, now maybe you're getting back to, it's a weird, and again, it goes all the way back to the thing we talked about in the first segment of the show, this confidence thing. But it's a weird thing how if those two are going well, Jeff, it's not all mental in that regard. If they're going well, then the other guys are going to see better pitches to hit. And so, in some ways, they're like, quote unquote, protecting. We call it, protection in the batting order. They're protecting the other guys by taking all the really difficult pitches, and then the other guys see easier pitches and they hit better. But there is some confidence, I think, to it as well.
Yeah, and there is the component of protection, getting somebody behind Corey Seager.
Yeah. Who's raking?
And who's going to force the team to make a decision and not necessarily be able to pitch around Corey. But lineup construction is such a big deal, and we've talked about how tricky it is. And I think if anything will happen this offseason, or even at the trade deadline, it wouldn't necessarily be a purging of coaches or a purging of players, but maybe some trades to get guys who are better fits into the lineup. The Rangers have a lot of aggressive hitters, probably too many aggressive hitters, if we're being honest. And so they need to have a better mix of guys who can get on base. And I know everybody's talking about Marcell Ozuna in the chat there, 400 on base percentage.
Yeah,
we get your point. But the Rangers need more guys like that. So maybe that's where Evan Carter can help. Things.
If he starts to look like the Evan Carter we remember from 2023, and the guy that showed that at every level in the minors too. More coming up as we do our cleanup segment, and one of our buddies, one of our favorites, is looking for work today. Maybe we'll see if he wants to join us on the podcast. That's next. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast. And it's time to talk about becoming a diehard. We encourage you to make sure you sign up to be a diehard. You can sign up at our website, or you can just scan that handy-dandy QR code that you see on the screen right there, and it'll be an opportunity to pay only the low price of $79.99 to become a diehard and get access to all of the things behind the paywall for every one of our teams, not just the Rangers. We have writers for every team. They're writing every day. They're writing great stuff, and you need to have the availability to get all of it. And so it's easy. Just, scan the code or go to alldlls.com/join and join to become a diehard. You get a free shirt. You get 20% off all of our merchandise and our upcoming trips or events, of which we will continue to have many. So I encourage you to become a diehard today.
And when you're a diehard, you wear kick-ass shirts. You get a kick-ass shirt like the ones John and I are wearing for free at store.allcitynetwork.com. And you also, as John alluded to, get discounts to our special events, like the trip the Cowboys crew will be taking to Las Vegas this season. The Cowboys have never played in Vegas, so they're headed there middle November. And you can go with Jeff and Jesse and Clarence and Joe. And I don't know if we're going to send our producer out there, maybe. Anyway, it's a Monday night game. The trip is Saturday through Tuesday. True Fan Travel is who you will go with. And even if you don't live in DFW, you can still get a deal to go out there. Staying at Mandalay Bay, where they had the winter meetings a few years ago. So I've stayed at Mandalay Bay. Pretty good. So anyway, become a diehard today.
Yeah, that's the answer. Simple. And be a part of that trip. That's going to be pretty cool. When I was on the Cowboys beat, I did enjoy, the trips, not as much as baseball because they're so quick in football. Yeah. But you got to see a lot of cool cities. And I did think, man, that one year, every year that one Saturday night in Vegas would be pretty cool. Or although in this case it's a Sunday night in Vegas. But anyway,
the casinos don't close on
they
Sundays.
don't close
It's
ever.
true.
So have fun. Anyway, and we want to talk about one of our buddies, Leote.
Oh, man.
I know. I saw the note yesterday that the Mariners DFA'd him. It's. I guess I hadn't been watching closely because he started quite well for them, right? And it looked like he had maybe found a good place to land, and they just they DFA'd him yesterday. Now, who knows exactly how it'll all go for him, right? There's a whole process he's got to go through.
Yeah, he defense has been an issue.
Strangely,
and Saturday he didn't make 2 plays that he should have made.
Okay,
that ultimately cost the Mariners the game against Anaheim. A ballpark where Leote has played plenty, and it's not working out. And so he was DFA'd. He could clear. I'd imagine he would clear. I don't know. We'll see.
Was he $4.5 million?
Yeah, but the it's possible. But anyway, if he doesn't, he's never been DFA'd, so he would get outrighted to Tacoma. They could just release him. Also,
okay.
That's the other thing. But he's a major league player. He can help. He can be a winning piece. He knows how to handle the bat, and he can run bases. And contrary to what's been happening here, he has good defender in him. So I don't know, but I don't like to see it because Leote's my guy.
And the defending part of it is very surprising, and it was happening here too.
Yeah,
and I don't know even when he made those misplays here, I think there were even a couple errors mixed in with plays not made.
Yeah,
and it was very surprising because I'll just never forget in 2020 when he got called up too soon. We all know that we've acknowledged it before, but. And we'd be watching him play, and Mark McLemore, who I would sit it was like Mac and me, and over by our set, and you and Evan Kennedy in the press box, and that was it. Like we were the only people in the ballpark. Anyway, Mac would just marvel at his ability, his raw ability as a defender, and thought at the time and said at the time, this guy's going to be. The best center fielder this organization's ever had. So
and it is interesting, and this Sam Huff is in the news too because he was outrighted. No one claimed him after he was DFA'd. Both of those guys made their MLB debuts in 2020 in the COVID season, as they were part of the group of minor leaguers that were basically the injury replacements. And it'd be interesting to do a case study of guys really across the game who had to make their debuts that season, and then what happened to them? What did they show well enough to be on the team next year? Did some of them go to AAA and then have a little more time to percolate and come up and be better? That's an underlying thing, and then also the lockout really cost Leote because it was when Donnie Ecker and Tim Hires came on. They didn't get a chance to put their hands on him until spring training, and then that wasn't enough time, and so he had to start that season in the minor leagues too. So anyway, not I guess I am making excuses for him, but it would be interesting to kind of do a whole case study of all those guys.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That 2020 year was just so weird, especially for a young guy. Major League Baseball was nothing like what it is, right? It was nothing like it. So I'm sure you've all seen it by now, so you don't have to, but you should, if you haven't, for sure, Google it. And find the angle of the Denzel Clark catch from the camera that's behind the wall. That's the one that's most amazing. Here's the picture. Look at this guy. They call him Spider-Man, Jeff. He did this in Toronto a week ago.
Yeah.
But the one in Toronto, I mean, it was a really good catch, and he was clearly up over the wall, but he didn't have to flip almost over the wall. This time, that momentum of that ball took him, I thought for sure he was going to land over there in the Rocks there at Anaheim. And, I don't know if Mickey Mouse lives back there or who does, Jeff, but I was really worried about the guy. And he came back in. He brought it back in. It was an amazing, again, going to be one of the best catches of the year by far.
Yeah, he made a good catch maybe Saturday or Sunday.
Right, yeah, he made 2 in 3 days,
Yeah,
I think.
he's 6'5". That's something that might surprise people. So he's a long, rangy, fast outfielder, and he's Canadian.
From Toronto.
Yeah.
That other catch, the Rob that he made, was in the hometown there.
Yeah. Mitch Bratt, Rangers left-handed pitching prospect at Frisco, who's from Canada, retweeted the replay of the catch. That's always a dead giveaway for Mitch. He doesn't tweet a lot, and when he does, it's usually about Canadians.
Yeah, I don't blame him, Canada and all that. And the other thing that the young man, he's just been called up, but the one thing he says he always does when he's at a new ballpark, and I think last night was his first game in Anaheim.
Sure.
So at a new ballpark, he goes out during BP and he paces it off and he does his steps to figure out how far he has to go once he hits the warning track before he has to leap. And he times it out that way, which is pretty advanced for a young guy.
It is.
And then to have it happen right away in the very first game, and he nailed it. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and a lot of these first timers in ballparks will spend extra time out there learning bounces, and the Green Monster is always the big one. A young left fielder will always go out there with their outfield coach and field balls off the wall and all of that stuff. But there's all kinds of different quirks. That Angels outfield has some quirks.
It does,
and they all do. And hops off of certain fences that are angled a certain way. And anyway, for him to have the awareness to do that is pretty good.
Yeah, and that Angels wall is high. That's a high wall in center field. As was in All About Sports Zone asking a comparison between it and the Gary Matthews Jr. I think this one was a little bit more acrobatic. Like the ball took him almost over the wall. But it's probably splitting hairs which one was a better catch. Thoughts?
Yeah. Gary used the fence to
he did
propel himself.
In fact, you cut the plastic on the fence.
Right.
That's
Whereas
right.
This was some pretty just lunacy. Throwing your body into harm's way. So I'm not sure which one was better. Probably that one.
Yeah, probably was. And so let's take a look at, I saw this on Twitter, that one positive note for every team in baseball. And I'm a half full kind of guy, Jeff.
I knew that. Yeah.
I'm a half full guy. These are hard to read now. But you good? Oh, that's good for us. There. That's good. We appreciate that.
That's why you guys
Ryan.
are the Pelican Kings.
Yeah, Ryan,
right
the Pelican King. So the Rangers actually isn't a terrible. Some of these are for some of the bad teams.
Fewest base runners are allowed by the mighty Texas Rangers.
That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
No, that's a pretty good one. How about where's the Colorado one? There it is. Oh, most triples. That's not bad either.
Well, and you'd expect that in that ballpark.
No, but there's the one. Chicago White Sox. Fewest what was
sacrifice
that?
Bunts allowed.
Fewest sack bunts allowed. What one are you going to mention, Ryan? Baltimore.
Heaviest team by average weight.
What's the one? Somebody's got one. Most wins on a Wednesday. Where's that one? I'm like, you got to be kidding me, Pittsburgh. You got the most wins on a Wednesday.
Well, I mean, they're all crappy.
Right. Yeah.
You're reaching.
The Nationals are most games won by where they were the underdog in the betting underdog. So, but whoever did this, Brooks, whoever you are, Brooks Gate, whatever. Thanks for being positive. But
that's right.
That's going deep. On
silver linings, baby.
Most wins on a Wednesday. And the Rangers do sometimes put that in their game notes, and I find it so funny. They're undefeated on Tuesdays. whatever.
Cares. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I got you.
Yeah, but
got you.
Anyway, we thought that was pretty fun. Murray State's in the College World Series. I mentioned it quickly. 800-seat stadium, Jeff. You know where Murray State is?
Missouri?
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
It's in Murray, Kentucky. And they have an 800-seat stadium, and their coach actually mows their field.
That's awesome.
I mean, in their D1, obviously, they wouldn't be. And this is, I mean, I'm going to be a Murray State Racers fan.
Yeah, Popeye Jones went to Murray
That's
State.
right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good recall. So, anyway, Murray State's
Good
in. We'll
basketball
be
school.
watching him
Yeah.
closely. And so will Popeye Jones and his son Seth, who made it to the NHL, by the way. So,
Interesting.
yeah, how about
Okay.
that? Anyway,
All right.
that's it. We appreciate you as always. We're back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Good to have Ryan with us. Thank you,
Hey, Ryan.
Thanks to all of you for chatting with us, and we will see you again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It'll be another edition of the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.